Greetings, y'all. This is Brother Dooley, aka the Beantown Ghetto Shaman, live and direct. I am going to attempt to make a video. I did a video about the late Baba Kilindi, one of my good friends and teacher, and there was a lot of different distractions, disturbances, and all that going, so I couldn't really finish the video. So I want to do that today, and I also want to go over some information about Kambo, or what we call frog medicine, sapo medicine, and how we could use that during this coronavirus. So before we start, thank you for tuning in. I'm gonna do a little song right here. That was inspired when I was in Costa Rica, you know. So when I was out there learning about the frog medicine, and I'm getting inspired to do this video today, mainly from my homegirl Acacia Lewis. Great resource of information there. Great person that's adding on to this journey of what we call the psychedelic community, especially the Black community, melanated community out there that's reaching more people of color to learn about these ancient practices. So big up to Acacia, because she did a talk yesterday in Detroit, and the whole Detroit family out there doing their thing. I talked to Sincere Seven today, and he was just talking about how cheap the planes are, right? The tickets. So I was like, man, I didn't even know it's that cheap, man. I should head out to Detroit and vibe with y'all, because she did, Sister Acacia and Sincere Seven did a joint together yesterday. Acacia did the connection of using Iboga and Kambo together. And Acacia just wrote a book on it, and she dedicated the book to Baba Kilindi. And she was talking about how she really wanted Baba to, check her book out before his passing. But she talked about the benefits and the connection of using the frog medicine and the Iboga. Iboga, as y'all know, is medicine from Gabon, from Africa, and it comes under the Betwi tradition, you know. I sat with Iboga myself. I didn't go that deep, you know, but I was with an elder, a great elder, who's initiate within the Betwi tradition. And I went in to get into the spirit world, and it was a great experience with Iboga. Iboga is a very strong medicine. I was telling Acacia that I've been dealing with frog medicine and Shunga together. And Shunga is like a smokable ayahuasca type of DMT. DMT mixed with different type of herbs and stuff. In the case like blue lotus flower and different other things. But I, from my experience of working with the Shunga and the frog medicine together, it's a powerful experience. A lot of people that don't know about frog medicine, it's using the secretion from the frog, and putting that on your skin, making a gate. You know, a gate is using one of the traditional sticks that they use to make a burn mark on your top layer of your skin, and have the frog medicine go directly placed on your skin, and automatically it goes into your bloodstream, starts working on you in seconds. So a lot of people that take the frog medicine, sometimes it could be painful for them in regard to the burn marks on the top of the skin, and sometimes certain other nauseous feelings and different other things that come with the medicine. I noticed the Shunga makes the ride, even purging, the purging experience, a much more pleasant, more interesting wrestling experience. And don't get me wrong, there's so many different experiences with the frog medicine where it can be very, I don't know, meditative, very orgasmic at certain moments. So, um, this is a path where I don't think it's set in stone. You could definitely figure out your way of approaching these medicines. But I want to talk about that a little more later. I want to go into the song real quick. All right. So it's going to go like this. And I'm glad I'm doing this video today because people that are stuck in the house during this whole Corona thing, especially if you're a parent, woo-wee, man, I have, all I have to say for the parents out there that are going through this right now, I'll say, God bless y'all. So thank you for me able to have this right now, just to be able to have a moment even for myself right now. I take some sage there, and we're gonna go like this. Great Mother Kambo, heal me, heal me. Great Mother Kambo, heal me, heal me. Great Mama Kambo, heal me, heal me. Heal my body, heal my soul, heal my mind and make me whole. Heal my body, heal my soul, heal my mind and make us whole. Great Father Kambo, heal me, heal me. Great Father Kambo, heal me, heal me. Fire running through my veins, bring me to myself again. Fire running through my veins, bring me to myself again. Great Spirit Kambo, heal me, heal me. Great Spirit Kambo, heal me, heal me. Open up my path in life, humble, free, and shining bright. Open up my path in life, humble, free, and shining bright. This was one of the songs that we did in Costa Rica, man. I ain't did that joint in a minute. So I forgot it for a second. It's another joint. Invoking the frog. Mr. Kambo. Frog medicine. Worry, worry, Kambo, Kambo. Worry, worry, Kambo, Kambo. Worry, worry, Kambo, Kambo. Worry, worry, Kambo, Kambo. Carry me, Sangrada medicina lupara excuse me. Sangrada medicina lupara sangara lina medicina luparini yoga worry Kambo worry Kambo worry Vasena da floresta verma vacinda. Hold up, vacina da veresta fermami eva fermami worry ya Kambo worry ya Kambo kere mi na Kambo kere mi na ya Kambo Yeah, some of these songs I haven't gone over in a while, but it's very interesting stuff, you know. And I'm gonna share some things with y'all in a second with that. But I hope everyone's doing well out there, listening to this right now or later in your day or evening. Um, I tried to do a video the other day on giving thanks for the legacy and the greatness that Baba Kilindi Ahati have brought to this planet and to the people. Um, what I think is interesting is that, you know, within the psychedelic community, within the spiritual community, within the mind expansive communities, scientific communities in general, um, there's a reverence for psychonauts like Terence McKenna, for instance, right? Um, Terence McKenna is a household name within the psychedelic community, within the psychonaut community. He's the one that brought the whole, um, five gram heroic dose to people, you know. And we all thanks for even Terence McKenna's contributions to this planet of ours. But when it comes to Baba Kalindi and what he has brought to the table, Baba Kalindi's should be a household name as well, you know, for the psychedelic community. And the subject of diversity within this psychedelic community is a real subject. It's a real thing. And even Kalindi, there's a video that people shared on social media recently where he was speaking to a crowd of people and the subject of diversity came up. And he said that he was at a conference where there was, you know, the majority at these conferences, like Lindy was saying, which is a majority of just older white men, dealing with this subject and this science of you know psychoactive compounds, this medicine. And I remember in the video, Kalindi was saying that there was a white gentleman that was there saying that, well, the reason why you don't have black people into this medicine is because this white guy was saying that black men have a problem of dealing with themselves, of being in their body, you know. And Kalindi, raised his hand at the conference is like, first of all, how are you going to speak for black men when you're not a black man yourself? And, this whole thing. And even the first time I met Kalindi, I met him at it was actually a talk I was doing on urban shamanism, and it was at UMass Amherst. And that's how I met Kalindi, and it was Brother Hank Rosenson that I remember I put on Facebook how I was gonna be doing this talk, and Hank was like, you gotta study Kalindi, you gotta listen to him. And then I found out that he was gonna be speaking out where I was gonna be speaking at. So I was like, wow. So the karma, the destiny, the fate, for us to cross paths it was destined, and I was so thankful for the universe for us to cross paths, to learn from this elder, to learn about our legacy as people of color, that we have a legacy with teaching plants and fungi, a history. And even where we stood at, where we stayed, where we had to stay the night at UMass, I remember me and Kalindi went to this cabin area, and I'll never forget. It was a noose that was over like the banister area that was there. And I remember I told Kalindi, I was like, yo, what's up with that? And I remember the guy that brought us there, he was even kind of taken aback, like, wow, I don't know, that's strange. Why is that there? And I'll never forget, later that evening after the talk, there was a party, and Kilindi didn't go. He's an elder. He must have known better. I went, and long story short, there was a lot of people that were doing a lot of different medicines, and there was a lot of energies that, when you take these medicines, you have to have a environment that's conducive, for you to get the best out of this. If some people take it for fun and all that, that's all good and all, but you know, especially when we're talking about Kilindis, especially we're talking about people that really want to get some information and from the multiverse and have some real change for them. This is real work and it has to be respected. So I remember I took some mushrooms that night and my third eye was definitely open, and I seen some things over a particular individual that was there. And make a long story short, I was like, yo, I'm not staying in this place here. This is crazy. And and I was broken out of my meditation because I was sitting on this chair, and I was going back in time. I was having a past life experience. I started seeing all the hieroglyphs. Next thing I know, I see myself in a sarcophagus, whatever. And I had my arms crossed, the whole thing, and the energy was so deep. I was getting a download at that moment, and I feel somebody's eyes looking at me. When you can feel like someone staring at you, and I open my eyes for a second, and then I see this individual whispering to this young lady, and she's looking at me, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on here? And I see this demonic type of etheric being over his head. So I remember I said, yo, I'm out. I'm not staying in here. Fuck this. I remember I said, it's a comment here. Hold on. Let me see, it's a comment here. Yeah, so all I know, that displacement feeling, yeah. So all I know is like, yo, I even said it out loud. I was like, yo, I ain't sleeping up in here. I'm out, and it reminded me of some like type Black Mirror, or what is it, the movie with the teacup? Because I was the only brother out there. It was only another brother, and I don't know where he went. And I was like, yo, I forget the movie with the teacup joint. It's crazy. But anyways, so I was like, yo, I'm out. And I start walking from the house where it's at. And I kid you not, why do I see a noose hanging from a tree not that far from the house? So I was like, yo, fuck this. I was like, somebody's playing around or whatever, but this is not funny. You know what I mean? And first, the cabin or wherever we're staying, me and Kilindi see that, and then I come to this party at this other place, and it's this over here, y'all playing games. So when people talk about diversity and talking about things of that nature, why you don't really see people of color even at a lot of these functions, first of all, are these functions even welcoming to folk like that? You know what I mean? That's first and foremost. Is it even a comfortable place for people to have that type of dialogue? Um, and and nevertheless, we're gonna build, the Black community. We're gonna build our own platform, our own thing anyway. Our own schools and stuff anyway. But when we understand where these ethogens and things come in, we understand that it goes even beyond race. And anybody that takes these plants, these fungi and all that will understand that. Even Baba Kalindi said this experience of these psychedelics will bring you to a place where you go beyond the human experience, and it's true. So when you have these type of experiences and you come back to this 3D dimensional reality, it's hard to go by the games that everybody's playing by. The games of racism, sexism, all these different things. And so yeah, it says, I keep destroying the universe when I eat 9+ grams. Can't save everyone, especially when you're steering the wheel, turning the eyeballs. That's true. I mean, even with these teaching plants and fungi, you realize that you will tap into various parallel realities. And with that, you could tap into a parallel reality where you have seen the future of this planet, the various futures. You know what I mean? There's numerous people that talk about these experiences and that have seen these experiences. I have this guy named Jason Quick, who I bought one of his books one time, two of his books actually, called Egyptian Qigong, um, or Kemetic Qigong. And the book, he got that through a channel um, when he had an outer body experience. And he started seeing these pharaohs that were doing these movements. And when he came back to his waking state, he realized he had an epiphany when he went to a museum and seen these same type of physical movements that were uh, on the statues in the museums. So he was realizing that, Qigong wasn't a practice that was developed in China 4,000 years ago, that this was a practice that was much older, and that he's seen it come back to Kemet and even further back to Atlantis and Lemuria. The movements are profound. I still practice the movements in the Qigong practice with some of my other practices. But he talks about going into a time in the future, Jason Quick, where the whole earth was definitely messed up. You had a couple of people that were living in bunkers. Not that many people survived. So, we can open up to these things, and I believe we can change certain things for the future as well. When Baba Kilindi talked about, I remember he shared with the family and said when his wife passed away, he was saying that he was in a realm where it was a particular deity that was wanted him to praise down to him, wanted him to prostrate to him and worship him. And he tried to convince Kalindi of saying that he'll put him into a different parallel reality where his wife that recently passed away would be alive, and that he would be able to be with her if he praised down to him. And Kalindi said no, So there's so many things to us that we're not aware of. And you got people like even, what's his name? I met him briefly at the 2020 Ascension Conference in Brooklyn, in New York. He's gonna come. He's on Gaia TV, and he's one of the few people of color on Gaia TV. And he's one of the people that could decode the Sumerian tablets. What do you think if I forget the brother's name? It'll come to me in a second. Regardless, the brother was, this particular brother who I forgot the man's name at this moment, he was talking about, the translation of the Sumerian tablets and how our telomeres were tampered with, and how our telomeres is connected to our DNA, and how basically those telomeres definitely have a function with our aging process and all that. So again, looking at all the evidence that so many people, Billy Carson, that's the dude's name, Billy Carson. Looking at all this information, there's obviously something that happened over the years where there's been a tampering with our DNA. There's been a level where we're not tapped into our full capacity. We're not. Some of us are, but as a global species, we're not. And there's so much evidence to show that. And that's what Kalindi was trying to show us, even through the high dosage of mushrooms and using the teaching plants and the fungi were a tool, or tapping into an organic technology that would unlock that for us. You know what I mean? When I see big up to Dr. Wayne Chandler. I've been working a lot with him in one of his advanced Qigong practice classes, and he's an excellent teacher. And do you know, for those who don't know about Dr. Wayne Chandler, he got hit by an SUV going over 30 miles per hour. He got hit right on the street, and he flew over 20 feet in the air and landed on his feet. He didn't have any broken bones, no wounds, no nothing. I think the brother might have even put a dent in the SUV. But he said the only reason why he was still alive today, or wasn't serious injured or hurt, was because of his Qigong practice, of him being able to develop an inner power within himself. When I tell people about this book, that Dr. Wayne Chandler definitely told me to read, that would be good a part of my Qigong practice, was The Magus of Java. You know what I mean? It talks about, it's a video that's been circulating on the internet for years about this guy this Asian man who could set things on fire with his energy. You know what I mean? The book is amazing when you read about his life. One of his students, wrote this book about his teacher's life. And when you read material like that, you realize there's much more to us than meets the eye. We're not totally tapped in, y'all. The masses out there. You know what I mean? It definitely is a matrix. And there's another book called The Faces in the Smoke. It's an excellent book that depicts this guy who goes around studying different healers around the world. And there's a chapter in the book that talks about the secret society of flying men in Haiti. So again, there's numerous examples out there to let us know there's more to us that we have to tap in. And that's why I commend and thank Kilindi, Baba Kilindi, so much, because he had courage. He had courage, y'all. This man was very courageous, because he was talking about, and anybody that had a psychedelic experience knows it can be a very intense experience. It could be very healing, it could be very giggly and orgasmic and just fun, but also it could be a lot of work too. You know what I mean? And a lot of people that talk about this conscious community and stuff, a lot of people don't go to psychedelics because they know it's work. It's not a popular thing by demand. It takes courage to be in ceremony, at ayahuasca ceremony, Iboga ceremony, what have you, and be able, and seeing others puking their guts out, shitting on themselves, being vulnerable, you being in the ceremony, yourself being vulnerable, throwing up on yourself, doing all kinds of stuff, even a mushroom experience, being vulnerable. We deal with a society that is very power driven, that is very controlling, control, everything's control. So if we talk about a so-called conscious community, a lot of people that I've talked to even in the past, that Baba Kilindi has talked to in the past, to say, hey, well, you had that experience, well, try this mushroom. It's going to do a lot of healing for you. It's going to expand your consciousness. Oh, no, I'm not ready for that. This is the common response for a lot of people in this so-called conscious community. Oh, I don't want to do that because I don't know what might come up for me. And it takes a lot of courage, a lot of trust from the universe itself to be able to put yourself in such a vulnerable place. It takes a lot of courage, a lot of inner strength. When Kilindi even said to folk, You know, even when Kilindi was saying to folk, you know, back in the days when he was saying to folk, when he was being uh, invited to all these different conferences, Melanin Conference and all these other things, uh, when he started talking about the mushrooms, he said he stopped getting invites to these things in the Black conscious community, you know, and trust me, it's a reason because anybody could say Hotep, anybody could put the fez on, anybody could have the regalia or the attire and play the part. But inner work is inner work, you know? That's digging up, as they say in shamanism and stuff, they say that's shadow work, digging up the skeletons in the closet. And sometimes that process can be very scary. It could be very hurtful, very embarrassing. But that's where all the growth comes from. You know, like we say, when you look at a plant, it's growing in the dark. You know, it's going into that place of the subconscious. It's going into that place of darkness for it to grow. So we have to go into that shadow place, you know? And trust me, I've I've been raised in this type of lifestyle. My mother and my father, thank God, I picked them from the other side. We all picked them, our parents, for our karmic lessons. But this is not a fad for me. I don't do these things to get likes or what they call the new thing, clout chasing and all this stuff. You know, I share these things because there's a yearning inside me to want to share because I know this stuff works. I know who I was 25 a year ago compared to where I'm now and where I'm still growing. This stuff works. It can heal our families. It can heal generational trauma. You know what I mean? Generational curses that have been passed on for generations to generations that have been plaguing people. Trauma that's been unlocked in our DNA. So this is why I was so excited to speak upon even Baba Kilindi, because when we look at the benefits of this medicine, of not just this medicine, because even Kilindi says, he even takes it a step further and says, I don't even look at it as medicine because I don't consider myself sick. I respect that from the elder. And I believe there's stepping stones, but for those in your community or even the viewer or even myself, those who still have to do a lot of cleansing for ourselves, that still might be holding on trauma, these are stepping stones. And the medicine could be the first, a lot of times, even with mushrooms, a lot of times, in a lot of people's experiences, a lot of people sometimes go for a quote unquote bad trip sometimes. And we know there's nothing bad trip at all. There's always something to teach you. But usually these people go through these so-called horrific experiences because we're talking about frequency. We're talking about vibration. And if there's things that you're still holding on to, that medicine's going to shake you up until you're able to let it go. You know what I mean? And those things will come up until eventually you deal with it. And now you're having a experience, a more so-called enlightening experience where you're more of a multi-dimensional traveler, where you're able to contact your spirit guides, your ancestors, your deceased loved ones, your higher self, different things of that nature. You could see that even with medicine or the organic technology of Bufo, of toad medicine. Toad medicine is very, very powerful. That's 5-MeO DMT. And when you smoke that, you could see a lot of different reactions from a lot of people. But a lot of people tell you it's like you're skipping steps and you're going straight to singularity, or you're going straight directly through all those dimensional gates straight to the source. And because there's a lot of people that might be holding baggage, trauma, different things of that nature, when they smoke this, and I remember when one of the medicine men was here with the family, with the community here, and I was telling some of these individuals, I was like, listen, this is not ayahuasca. You know what I mean? This is not even a low dose of mushroom or microdosing mushroom. This is a whole different ball game, this Bufo. And I told these individuals, I was like, y'all better prepare yourself, because this is a whole different frequency. Some of these people thought I was just talking mess or whatever. But when they smoked it and they seen it for themselves, a lot of these people were like in fetal positions. They went to their animal self. You know what I mean? There was one individual, when he came down from the medicine, looked like he got into a fight with himself. You know what I mean? Because he was hitting himself, scratching himself, and I seen this with a lot of different individuals on that medicine. When they haven't done the spiritual preparation work already to prepare themselves, eating a certain diet. That's why in even dealing with Mama Ayahuasca, they have something called dieta. The dieta is you taking time to cleanse your vessel out, so you can have the maximum benefits of the medicine. You know what I mean? But I seen people on the floor, yelling, crying, all this other stuff. And then I seen other people that were able to ride the experience because they were able to let go. You know what I mean? They were able to let go. They didn't come to the medicine with any preconceived notion of what it was going to be about. They didn't come to the medicine with trying to control the experience or anything. They came to the medicine, those individuals came to the medicine with just an open heart, open mind, open heart, and allowed it to take the medicine to take them where they needed to be. That's when I seen these individuals that had a very profound, very enlightening experience. Even when I worked with the Bufo myself, it was amazing. After I did it the first 2 times, it's like going back home each time. I'm like, okay, it's time to go back home. You know what I mean? So this stuff is important for all nations of the earth, all ethnicities to know about. Because we have people like even Baba Kilindi would say, you have people utilizing this medicine for their own benefit, in Silicon Valley, right? All of them over there microdosing, to come up with, have their brain activity to go at a faster rate, to be able to have downloads of ideas for new technology, This information, this medicine needs to be available for the whole planet, because our medicine men and our medicine women knew the benefits of it. It's just that the West is finally coming to grips with the benefits of it, through John Hopkins University and, UCLA and all these different universities that now can see the brain scans of people's brain and say, oh, wow, it is rewiring the brain. Oh, wow, it is connecting the synapses of the brain and stuff, And we have proof, we have proof. It's a proof is in the pudding. There's so many individuals that I have crossed paths with sharing this type of work with people to show that this stuff does work. You know what I mean? People that were addicts, that were on all kinds of drugs. I had one good friend that took Iboga, who was on heroin for many years, got off the heroin through the aid of the Iboga. You know what I mean? I could say from my own experience with the mushrooms and some other medicines I've taken over the years, how it's helped mature me as a man, as a father, you know, as a significant person to my children's mother, the children, the mother of my children, you know. This medicine allows me, my mother passed away recently, and this medicine allowed me to know that death is not an end, you know, through experiences, yes, grieving and all that. And I'm a Pisces, so of course, sometimes I get a little emotional. So sometimes when I see someone who I loved that passed away, yes, those normal human emotions come up, the grief and all that, you know. I was in shock when Baba Kilindi passed, you know. I couldn't sleep, and it was coming from a place because I know I would miss him, miss his wisdom, miss his teachings, miss just even his phone calls ever so often. Hey, Dooley, how's you and the family doing? How's the kids? And even if it was just a couple of minutes, just a couple of, chit chat, I would miss that. But also, I know that there's a channel, a spiritual channel that is open where we can still have that communication with those who have crossed over. It's real. And I know it's real because I've had experience with what loved ones who passed away and seen them, seen their spirit, had them talk to me telepathically, you know? But when you have those experiences and you have more and more of those experiences, you start to be more comfortable with that, with death, this thing that we call death, you know? You know what I mean? It's just another stage, you know? And we know people like the Tibetan monks and the lamas and the Rinpoches in Tibet. You have a lot of different indigenous people around the world that have even different ways of dying, you know? When in the early 2000s, I think it was 2004 or 2005, I was studying a lot on Tibetan Buddhism. And I took a lot of different initiations during that time. And when I was learning during that time, I learned about the rainbow body, and I learned about how a lot of these advanced meditative practitioners would be able, when it's their time to transition, that they would be able to take their physical body with them. And that's deep. That's something that modern day science could never wrap their heads around, And there's over 200,000 documented cases of eyewitnesses seeing these advanced masters turn their body into light. And the whole room would be filled with different color lights. And sometimes they would hear certain celestial music. And sometimes witnesses would smell certain fragrances like flowers and certain beautiful smells in the passing of these masters. And also, what would happen too, if they didn't was that advanced with the rainbow body technique, their physical body, the corpse, would literally shrink 2 inches. Each day it would shrink. Now, again, modern day science has no way of explaining this. But again, this is just more and more evidence to show there's much more to us. There's much more to us that we don't know. And Baba Kilindi said one way of getting there is through this. It's through the mushroom, through the organic technology. You know what I mean? He taught us that these spores, these mushroom spores, are older than the planet itself, that it could travel on asteroids, that it could travel from planet to planet, enlightening sentient beings. And I believe we're in a psychedelic, I know we're in a psychedelic renaissance right now because of the times that we're in, because of the wars, the pollution, all the things that not only have a threat to our planet, but neighboring planets and other solar systems as well, because we're all connected. Everything is interconnected. You know, I was shown this the first time I ate mushrooms. This was about, had to be about 13, 14 years ago when I first had my mushroom. And when I started to see the, like all the numbers that Neo, you know, the Matrix, he's seen all the numbers. I seen all these glyphs. It was like the sacred geometry pattern that covered everything, you know? So from that experience, I knew. I was like, I was seeing like the fabric of reality at that time. So from that experience, I knew that everything is connected, you know? And when you have an experience like Bufo, like my first experience with Bufo, I was like, oh, so this is what these masters talk about. This is what this glimpse of enlightenment is, you know? Because once you have that experience, I swear to God on everything I love, you will be a different person. Inside and out, even on a cellular level, everything is vibrating differently with you, you know? And we could even see that with Brother Iron Mike. You know, he's a beast. We're talking about Iron Mike, the heavyweight world champion. Iron Mike. You know what I mean? Knock a brother out real quick. Beast. You know what I mean? But if you look at his interview, I think it's Hot Boxing, his show, he talks about his experience with Bufo and how that changed his life. Even people around him start to see the change in him, his whole demeanor. You can't help but be changed by experience like that. You know, you're getting a glimpse of the unknown. You're getting a glimpse of death before death. That's why when even my mother passed, or even when Baba Kilindi passed, I knew that Kilindi was going to be okay. Because people that have seen the other side, they're already comfortable on that other side already. And I also believe that Kilindi, just from speaking to him several days before his passing, you know, I got a sense that he felt that he was more useful to us on the other side. Because he's a warrior. He's an intergalactic warrior. You know what I mean? So what we're dealing with right now in regard to this coronavirus, and you know, I had a good friend of mine that his father was in the military, and he had some intel, you know, saying that this is definitely a biological weapon. You know what I mean? That this was created in a laboratory and got out of control. So we're seeing karmic repercussions here. And I believe there's other warriors on the other side that are going to be here to help us. Because these one percenters, these so-called elite people, man, you know, they had these certain plans for this world domination for a long time, you know, and this so-called New World Order and all these things. But we also understand that prophecy is prophecy. Yes. Prophecy is prophecy. And this is the time of the awakening. You know what I mean? Yes. Oh, that's so beautiful. I'm almost done talking. Okay? No, not in here right now, because I'm doing some information. I'll be out in a second, okay? Thank you for the hug. I appreciate it. You know, this is the time of awakening, man. And we have to have experiences that validate that reality. You have to have mystical experiences. Experiences are important because you just can't go off the word of anybody just because what they say and it sounds good. You know what I mean? You got a lot of people, especially the newbies out here, y'all. You know what I mean? Newbies on the path. Y'all gotta be careful, yo. Because y'all got a lot of charlatans out there, you know? I'm master this, I'm master that. You know what I mean? And charge you an arm and a leg for something that's in you already. something that's your birthright already. You know what I mean? Yes, compensating for one's time and one's energy, equal exchange and stuff, that's important. I teach that even in my Reiki classes and stuff. But come on, when you start to charge arm and leg going beyond, come on, man. You gotta see where do you draw the line in the sand to say, are you tapping into greed, or are you tapping into abundance, or are you tapping into greed? You know? And that's for those teachers out there, you know? And no one's perfect. I'm not perfect. I've made plenty of mistakes in life. But I believe that you'll see see how authentic a person is when they learn from those mistakes and they're willing to grow from those mistakes. That's when you start to see the quality of what you call your teachers and different things like that. You know what I mean? Like this. See this right here? See this photo? It's on a DVD right here. I got this from Brother Sufi or Sheikh Sufi so many years ago. And this is a picture of Sheikh Amadou Bamba of Senegal. There's a city named after him, you know? And we're not talking about organized Orthodox Islam here. The Sufis were very much into the mystical experience of experiencing God for the here and now. Not saying that you have to die to experience that. To be in union with Allah. And Kilindi even talks a lot about that within the Sufi tradition, the magic carpet, you know, utilizing the acacia root, the tree of life in the Middle East. You know what I mean? We have to understand, understand that this was a worldwide tradition. Shamanism, which we know is not the proper term for a medicine man worldwide, you know, or medicine woman worldwide, they all have their own different titles and ways of recognizing them. But, you know, as we know, shaman is from the Tongass people. You know what I mean? So, but we know that the medicine path or the shaman path is the oldest path on the planet. You're talking about the first people worldwide that learned how to be advanced practitioners in the art of trance. The art of trance. Being able to put yourself in an altered state to be able to tap into the spirit realm, to be able to be a multi-dimensional traveler. See, I know this, with all this corona, with everything that's going on, all this stuff that's happening, you have to understand and look at the bigger picture and understand that there's a lot going on. They talked about how there's a different frequency being emitted from the sun itself right now. So this is Superman on right now. You know, this is Superman on right now. You know, this is the oldest tradition, and everyone's getting downloads right now. I've been getting downloads that been getting information without eating mushrooms or any medicine or anything, just doing chant. And next thing I know, I'm doing a ancient Native American dance in my kitchen and getting downloads from the star elders. You know what I mean? That's what time it is right now. You know, when I got the call from Sister Acacia to send some Reiki to Baba when we first heard that he wasn't going through that well. When I was doing some healing for him, and others that did some healing for the brother as well, when I got my download of what I got from Baba is that there were some things with him, but the healing really got to me. And I got a download from Mama Kali from the Hindu tradition, in this Kush tradition. And Mama Kali told me a whole new way of approaching healing. And she told me that night that she's the one that eats disease, that she's the one that eats virus. Man, it was deep, man. When I went into her realm, she cut up my body first. She cut up my etheric body and said, you cannot, no one can come in here with ego. You know what I mean? And then was teaching me the whole night, but taught me a whole new way of using black light in a form of eating disease. And she transmutes it. She's an alchemist. So you're calling on that archetypical energy. And I did a healing for myself. I had some issues going with my hands. And next day cleared up. So this stuff is amazing and it works. It works. So I'm gonna go real quick. I want to just say thank you again for Baba. Again, we're all gonna be doing more videos, and I encourage people to tell some stories about Baba. You know, let his legacy continue. You know what I mean? There's plenty of stories out there of wisdom that he shared with others that would be useful for the world. You know what I mean? This man, he traveled back and forth to the motherland, you know, and got so much wisdom from our ancestors. Stuff within the hidden black societies. You know, for those who don't know about even Credo Mutwa, you know, he recently transitioned. You know, it's a wonderful book called Zulu Shaman that he wrote. Excellent book. They talk about, in that book, he talks about the black secret societies. You know, the stuff that he had to do to be able to take the baton, the stuff that they would make you go through to be able to say if you was worthy or not to be able to get this wisdom and this knowledge. You know, and Baba Kilindi was telling me he was constantly on a mission to sit with Credo Mutwa. And I believe Baba Kilindi, the day I think he was recently going to go see him, but the day I believe Baba got sick, I think it was the day that Credo Mutwa passed away. So this stuff is deep, you know? But I want to go into talking a little bit about Kambo because I was going through some notes and especially got inspired by Sister Acacia sharing, again, her experience with using Iboga and Acacia. And again, they doing it up in Detroit. They have started the Psychonaut Academy of Detroit. And they're doing their thing. And we're going to continue with the Detroit Psychedelic Conference in August. You know, Baba Kilindi made sure that he, you know, was reaching out to all the black psychonauts out there and making sure that we're getting this information out there to the masses. You know, and I respect that about Baba, and to let people know. When I first went to Detroit and I encountered the psychonaut community out there, it was like a breath of fresh air. Because again, a lot of times when you deal with this medicine, you know, no shade on anyone, but it's the majority of people is just Europeans. So when you seen someone that looks like you from your culture and they're dealing with this medicine as well, and you're asking them, oh, well, how do you deal with this when you're going in or whatever? It was like a breath of fresh air. Excuse me. Yes. Oh, yes. Very nice, Dinar. I'm almost done. No, Dinar, because people can't hear right now when I'm trying to share these notes, all right? I'm almost done. Give me 10 minutes, okay? All right, 10 minutes, all right? And then you could use this and watch your program on here, okay? All right? Go in there, leave your show. You could watch your show afterwards, all right? Yeah, let me see this right here. Thank you. Go in there, please. Thank you. Go in there. Thank you. Thank you, mamas. No. All right. You want to take this one too? Yes. Take that one because that one is too loud. Y'all play with that one, all right? Okay, just don't be too loud with it. Thank you. So, let's go into the Iboga real quick. I think this is important for people to look at this because even when they open this up, say in May or whatever, I was listening to an elder the other day saying, don't be so in a rush to be going out and spending your stimulus check and breathing on each other like that. You know, they said this might come back around or whatever. But my thing is this is let's not stay in fear mode. Let's give some people some different type of things they can use. You know what I mean? Some solutions here. And one of the solutions, in my opinion, is Kambo or frog medicine, sapo. Let's go into a little things on that I want to share in my notes here with Kambo. I first came across Kambo so many years ago. Say about how many years? About maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when I went to Costa Rica. Beautiful experience. And I learned a lot about Kambo. I'm still learning a lot about Kambo. And I think people that give Kambo to others especially need to sit with it. You know, you have practitioners that give the medicine, but you, as a practitioner, giving this frog medicine, you have to sit with it too, because there's so many sensations, so many downloads, so many different things that you learn about the medicine sitting with it. You know, I went through one session, my whole body was itching from head to toe. My eyeballs felt like parasites was coming out of my eyes. And I was like, damn, if I didn't go in with this medicine so hard like this, maybe I might have not known a client that might be going through this and they're itching, and I'm like, what are they going through? Well, at least I can have a reference point to say, well, I can maybe see this is working on their skin, or you know what I mean? So definitely practitioners take it yourself. Kambo, let's go in a little bit about the history real quick here. I'm gonna just jump to a couple of things here. All right. And I hope everyone is doing very well. First of all, before we even talk about it, let's go into the contraindications. Contraindications, people that cannot take Kambo, or I would not advise to take Kambo. Now, those who fall in that category would be people who have heart problems, all right? Those who had heart attacks, those who have fluttering in their heart and stuff like that. I wouldn't advise you really to take Kambo. Try to find some other medicine that you could work with, because Kambo is going to speed up the heart rate, all right? That's first and foremost. People who have had a stroke, not advised to take Kambo, you know what I mean? But there's also something called a layering technique, which I will tell you a little bit about later, where you don't put on a full dot of medicine or on the person's gait. You can put a half a dot, or even smaller part than a half a dot. And that goes to people that especially are very weak, or the elderly, or someone that you want to test the medicine out with first, and just to see if there's any adverse reactions or anything like that. Could take it on very slowly if you feel very cautious about the person you're working with. Those who are on medication for low blood pressure, okay? Because this medicine lowers the blood pressure. There's a lot of people that I've worked with before that actually have fainted on the floor. And that's why it's important when you're working with somebody that's doing Kambo and they're having to have to use the bathroom or what have you, you say, listen, because this medicine is going to happen. It's a purging medicine. It's cleansing you out. You're going to throw up. You're going to urinate. You're going to shit. You know what I mean? So that person that you're working with, they're about to walk to the bathroom. You say, hey, let me hold your throw up bucket. Let me hold your hand. Let's walk together. Because the last thing you want to do is have their blood pressure lower so much that they just pass out and hit their head, get a concussion or something. You want to always make sure they're protected. Some people might even get so dizzy with the medicine. That's when you could be like, hey, if you need to get on all fours and walk to the bathroom, let's crawl together. You know, and usually I crawl on the floor with the person so it won't feel like they're being humiliated or feeling embarrassed or anything like that. I was like, hey, you know, we'll both crawl to the bathroom together. All right. Someone who has had a brain hemorrhage. Also, those who have blood clots, when advised. What else here? Those who have serious problems with depression or anxiety, and that would be on the fence with that one, because somebody that might be taking psychiatric medicine. But again, you might have to feel that one out. This is not a medicine that is psychedelic. You know, you're not going to be in the psychedelic realm with Kambo. Don't get me wrong, there are people that get visions with Kambo as well, but it's not a intense ayahuasca, mushroom, Iboga, what have you experience, peyote or what have you. So that's one, because Kambo does help with depression, does, help with anxiety and stuff. And we'll talk a little bit about that later with the peptides. People undergoing chemotherapy or radiotherapy for 4 to 6 weeks afterwards. All right. So you don't want to get this cleansing and then right after that go to chemotherapy and have all that radiation just mess up all the good things that you just did for your body right there. If anything, you take the chemotherapy first, if that's your choice, and then go take your Kambo session. People who take immune suppressants for organ transplants, people who take organ transplants can't do it, because this is a medicine that attacks anything that's foreign into your body, and the organ transplant, the Kambo might not recognize it as something a part of you, but as something foreign, and will attack it. Women who are pregnant, because Kambo can be used as birth control actually, and then for abortions. Women who are breastfeeding, a child under 6 months old, and people with epilepsy, severe epilepsy, and people who are recovering from major surgery procedures. All right. So that's kind of the basics, and there probably is some more contraindications, but that's the more basic ones. All right. Also, let's see here. Fasting as well. All right. Also, before you take the Kambo session, it's not advised to take any alcohol or any hard drugs or anything like that. And long-term water fasting 7 days before or after is not advised. Colonics, enemas, liver flushes, or any water-based detox avoided for 3 days after Kambo. All right, and that's a reason, because the thing is this. It's because, like it says here, due to large intake of water consumed during the Kambo treatment, the body's electrolyte balance can be disturbed. Therefore, it's important for you to rest, eat, drink afterwards to bring the body back into balance and homeostasis. This is why we advise against water fasting and colonics before or even after Kambo. All right, because we talk about hyponatremia, which is when there's too much water in your system and the water gets into your cells and you start to have the person's body starts to swell up. Their brain actually starts to swell up because there's too much water in the system, and all the iodine is taken out because there's too much water. So that's why when you're doing Kambo, and this is important because you have people out there that might hear people talking about Kambo and different things. That's why it's important to hear people that have done some real study with this. People like Acacia, I've done some study myself, others out there, because people might just hear about, Kambo, just run to it. And there's people that actually have died from Kambo, and not the frog medicine itself, but the cases have been around the person that's serving the medicine and have given people too much water. All right. You want to make sure that person deals with at least 4 to 5 liters of water during a Kambo session. All right. Warning signs. If there's anything that's going wrong during a Kambo frog medicine treatment, These things are usually what you usually will see. Impaired breathing. They can't really breathe. Overly fast pulse rate. Severe swelling. Now you have to understand, it does have your heart increase, but overly, like you see the joint popping out of the person's chest. Swelling is very normal too with frog medicine. We call it getting the frog face, where usually the lips sometimes swell up, the cheeks, all that, the nose, everything, that's normal. But severe swelling, you might have to really look out for. Um, uh, Choking, severe choking, no inability to rise after fainting, severe skin irritation reaction, severe pain, bleeding, psychosis, dissociation, severe vomiting. Again, you vomit, but if it's going, all, these are things you might want to look out for. And that's why when you do a combo treatment with a person, you do a test point for a person to see even if there's a adverse reaction, or if this medicine is not, if it's something that could work with the person. Real quick, before I continue, let's see if there's any comments real quick here. Okay, got Celeb Adams in the place. What up, man? Real wisdom, peace, word, man. Let's see here. Bro, how do we contact you? You could call. I'm on Facebook on Abdul K Wilkins, and also on Instagram. I don't use Instagram that much, but Instagram I'm on third. I believe I'm Third Mind Spirit. Or you can email me too. I don't really check email that much, but it's best to just try to get me on Facebook. But if I do check my email, it's love Mother Earth number 33 at gmail.com. Okay, so that's the contact. Love to holler at you about psychedelic retreat in Colorado. How do I contact you? Yeah, that's my contact right there. Greetings, beloved. Time is art. Thanks for being artistic with your time. Word. Thank you, Tupac L. Yeah, we still got to get that going, sis, about this retreat. Yes, Leo, the sun is speaking to us. Yes, it is. Okay. Yeah, because the Detroit Psychedelic Conference, that's wonderful that they're doing it in Detroit, but we need a conference in every city. This is the future medicine. You see, when you talk about how the ancestors of the past, how they were approaching people who had sickness or imbalance, they were using vibrational therapy. They were using energy therapy. They were using sound therapy. They were using all kinds of movements and breath work for healing. They were using sexual energy, tantra for healing. And they were using the sacred medicines and the fungi for healing. All these different things. And you're going to see this is the future medicine, because when you see, again, more and more different research from these universities, you're seeing that they in the past, for instance, they used MDMA for relationship therapy, for couples therapy. And, when you deal with MDMA, that's ecstasy right there. But the core compound, active compound, that's dealing with mescaline. You know what I mean? Dealing with the cactus medicine. So this stuff always been around. You know what I mean? And we're gonna see more and more in the future how this is gonna benefit people. First, it could just clean up our communities, first and foremost. When we talk about the opioid crisis and all these things, I lived through the crack era in the 80s, you know what I mean, as a youngster, you know what I mean? So I seen the damage of what real street hard drugs can do to our community, to our families, to our loved ones. But when we look at seeing how natural medicine, and this is where education comes in. This is where we have to educate our communities and our elders and stuff like that, because they don't have a reference for this medicine. They still think we're talking about drugs here. You know what I mean? And we know that was to be conspired by our own government, with the Nixon administration and the Reagan administration, and the so-called war on drugs and the propaganda machine that they've been giving us. But we have to re-educate. Daddy, look at a cut. Oh, where is that? Over here. It's a little boo-boo. Make kiss it. You okay? All right? All right? I'll be in there for a second. All right. All right. Love you. So, you want a hug? Yeah, she's okay. And mommy, I kissed it, and mommy's gonna make sure she's okay too. Okay? Yep. So, there's a lot of education that we have to do, just to let people know, first and foremost, that these are not drugs, that this is, like even Baba Kilindi said, that this is organic technology, and that it's been around to help assist sentient beings since the beginning of beginningless time, so this is what's going on, you know what I mean? And when, so I look forward to seeing even more people of color as psychedelic counselors. We're gonna see more of this. I encountered this one dude when I first met Baba Kalindi at UMass Amherst, and it was a guy a war veteran who fought in Iraq. He had post-traumatic stress disorder. He couldn't go to sleep. You know what I mean? But when he had his first ayahuasca ceremony, he was able to sleep for the first time. You know what I mean? He was able to confront some of his inner demons. You know what I mean? And just look at our communities of the drugs that were brought into our community, the gang culture. There's a lot of brothers that turned their life around, you know what I mean, and have regretted for doing some of the violent acts that they did in the past for a sect that they claimed. You know what I mean? Because a lot of these young men, they don't have father figures, and a lot of gang culture is a lot of family for a lot of these young men. You know what I mean? You're talking about a rites of passage for some of these warriors that come and incarnate here on this planet, that hold that Herakuti energy, that hold that Shango or that type of warrior energy, Ogun energy, you know what I mean? So they come into this realm as warriors. They already know who they are. And because our culture and a lot of things have been stripped from us, we don't have those rites of passage, for our youth. So again, gang culture is that, but when some of these guys become older and they some of them who do survive those periods of chaos, who do survive the prison system, who do survive not being strung out on drugs or killed. These are men and women walking around dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder, dealing with depression, dealing with anxiety. So we understand how when you use this medicine, how it can clean up our community. It could get our people off drugs. It can have people be able to look at some of the abuse and trauma that they went through and go inside themselves and deal with themselves. Real therapy, So I look forward to that time when we see even more people of color standing up into these positions as even psychedelic therapists. And this is a real actual field that you could go to school for right now. You know what I mean? I look forward to seeing that people understand the benefits and seeing that this will become a household name. You know what I mean? Like things are changing. Like even yoga. At one point, I grew up in this. You know what I mean? I seen my father doing yoga and Tai Chi and all that back in the early 80s. The vegetarianism back in the early 80s. You know what I mean? And now it's becoming, more people are getting into it. Now my father, he was one of those people who said, like, as it becomes commercialized, I hope it doesn't become watered down, because a lot of it has become watered down. but I still feel it still benefits. When you see a person that's a CEO at a big corporate office and learns how to do correct breathing or do deal with pranayama, for instance, he will learn how to still his mind. And hopefully over time, he will become a more compassionate CEO of dealing with his employees, his business in a more humane way. You know what I mean? That's what even Baba Kilindi was saying with John F. Kennedy. You know, when I forget the woman's name, but you know, you basically it was one of his you know, his you know, concubines, his side chick or whatever. And this woman was on some tantrics type status and was turning him out, turning JFK out and putting him on to psychedelics. And Kalindi was saying that because of her, he and him having these experiences with psychedelics, JFK had a very mind expansive experience, which led to them not having the missile Cuban crisis. You know, this is what Kalindi brought to us about that information. So we can understand how even these teaching plants and these fungi and these psychedelics, these ethogens, how they can even have an effect on the people in the highest forms of government or people of so-called power. You know, we can see how that can affect and trickle down to having better leadership, you know? So this is all very interesting to me. So again, I'm gonna continue again with just real quick some more information about some Kambo here. All right. We talked about contraindications. We talked about water. You know, the certain amount of water that you're supposed to have. And also, what we're talking about here too is intensive treatments. Like intensive treatments, if you're dealing with a person who has a severe case, serious illness, HIV, diabetes, general herpes, Lyme disease, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, what have you, you want to have what you call a very intense treatment with that person at first, just to get the immune system going and all that. You know, and that's what we call a warrior dose. That's when usually people go in three sessions in a row. You go in, boom, you take a break, have the person go in again, boom, take another break, and then you go in the third time. So we deal with very intense treatments at first, and then we draw it out eventually through the long haul, through the months afterwards, to continue the healing. Because if you look into the research of Kambo frog medicine, there's cases of people that cured themselves of AIDS, that cured themselves of diabetes, of herpes, all that. And I'm going to show and prove how that's possible through what they call the scientific explanation of the frog when they deal with what we call the peptides. You know, we in our saliva, we have peptides as well, but in the secretion of the frogs have peptides as well, and each peptide serves a certain function. So, for instance, in the medical pharmaceutical industry, do y'all know this? They have over 70 patented medications right now for the pharmaceutical industry that came directly from the frog, that came directly from the Kambo. You know what I mean? They synthesized some of these peptides, and you know what I mean. So this, I'm just letting y'all know this is real. So okay. Okay. So again, I'll read this right here. Serious health conditions: when a person is suffering from a very serious disease or acute condition, and they have been chosen to use Kambo as a natural medicine. In this case, we need to give a large amount of Kambo in a short space of time to maximize its healing benefits. This means Kambo could be taken daily or even every second day. The severity of the illness will dictate the number of treatments and the period of time to spread out over time. Okay? So yeah. Yeah. And then we got here. Hold on 1 second. Because I want to build with y'all on them peptides. Um, okay, let's see here. Real quick, sorry, I'm just going through my I apologize, I'm going just through these notes real quick. All right, let's see here. Okay, this is just something about the symbolism of the frog real quick before we go into the combo. And I just like the symbolism here. Just don't want y'all to look at the symbolism of the frog itself. Okay? The frog itself. All right. And it says here, the frog, they say right here, many of us, the world seers who work with cleansing or haunted houses, for instance, carry frog medicine. Many of the world seers use water on their hands and when tapping into other realms of reality due to the water's superconductive nature. That's why Pisces in general are very, out of the zodiac, they're very the most psychic, out of the zodiac, because they have that water element, that very, dealing with that very intuitive side of themselves. In the Mayan and Aztec shamanic practices, the shaman places water in his or her mouth and sprays it over the body of the patient to clear away negative energy. This is done while holding the thought of the frog firmly in mind so that the healing may occur and the patient may feel replenished with positive energy. Sometimes dried and stuffed frogs are also used to guard the person's body during the session. Frog speaks of new life and harmony through the rain song, because you have to understand the Kambo frog, the green jungle monkey frog. It comes out. It's a nocturnal animal. It comes out at night and it croaks for the rain. It calls on the rain. You know what I mean? So it calls on the cleansing. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, so it says here, frog speaks of new life and harmony through its rain song. The deep tones of the frog's ribbit are said to be a call of the thunder beings, thunder, lightning, and rain. The ribbit is the heartbeat that comes into harmony with Father Sky and calls for the replenishment that is needed. The call to frog is to find peace and joy and in taking time for yourself. Yeah. So, and also the frog also deals with in the symbolism of our archetype, it deals with the jump. The frog jumps. So jumping from one level to the next, or jumping from one level of understanding to the next. All right. And this teaches one to find that connection even from the in between. All right. So and if you look at the frog, it's a tadpole. It starts in the water environment, the world of fluidity, and then eventually it goes to earth, to this solidity and security. Yeah, such as Taurus, about to be in the Taurus, season and stuff. So that whole earth energy. You know what I mean? That groundedness. So there's a lot of symbolism there just with the frog itself alone. Now we could talk about the origins of Kambo itself. Now there's been many different tribes throughout the upper Amazon, for instance, in Peru and Brazil, who have their own version or their own idea of how Kambo came about. There's one story that, that there was a shaman that all the people in his village got sick and some of his traditional medicines weren't working. So he consulted with Mama Ayahuasca that shown him a vision of the frog and how to use the frog for healing. Also right here in my notes, it says here, is another story, a legend that regarding the origins of Kambo that comes from Brazil. And it says that it was a figure named Kampum, Kampum. Kampum was a powerful shaman that died and became a frog. thousands of years, Kambo has been used as a medicine by these people in other indigenous groups. You know what I mean? So when it first started to travel over here, it said that the first observation of Kambo was made by a French priest named Father Constantin. Constantin Tas Stephen in 1925 while he was studying the tribe in the Jorora River in Brazil. Later in the 1980s, an anthropologist named Catherine Milton described Kambo use among the Maoruna tribe in Brazil, and shortly Peter Goldman experienced Kambo with the Matsi tribe in Peru. So there it is. And the only place that it seems like Kambo is outlawed is in Brazil through in 1990s. Hold on one second, my son is over here. Yes. All right.
I just want to sit in peace.
Okay, you can sit right here, but as soon as you make some noise, you have to go, okay? Because I'm trying to share some notes. And you can listen and learn with me if you can, okay? You have to be quiet, okay? All right, thank you. So the only place I feel it's like a restriction is in Brazil here. There's something in 2004, this organization called ANVISA, and it stands for Engenharia Nacional de Violência Sanitária in Brazil, prohibited advertising medical and therapeutic benefits of Kambo. This was in response to the representation that had been made by the Brazilian government by the Katunkina people and with regard to intellectual property rights. Thus, so far, that's the only written restriction on any aspect of Kambo anywhere in the world. So it's completely legal to do Kambo any part of the world except in that spot of Brazil through this organization because of intellectual property between this indigenous tribe that say they have the intellectual property, that they were the people that brought this medicine to the world. This says sapo or Kambo, it was used in three ways. First, it was used first and foremost as a cleansing. You know, you're talking about this being the indigenous vaccine of the jungle, all right? So it would strengthen and energize the mind and the body of the hunters. It was used also by the hunters. And this is what Baba Kilindi talks about too as well. There are a lot of ethogens or a lot of psychedelics and medicines that indigenous people would use, a lot of the hunters would use to be able to have more acute vision, to be able to see for miles, to be able to run faster, super fast. We're talking about the Flash and all that. When we talk about, you know, these superheroes, this stuff is real. So you can run. And actually, by the way, I know sometimes my thoughts are all over the place, but, you know, as Bobby Hemmett said, this is how melanin works. I remember I had a conversation with this old Rinpoche, this old Lama, back in the early 2000s, and he was talking about, his name was Garchen Rinpoche. He's an elder that's in this video called, I think, The Yogis of Tibet. I don't know if he's still alive or not. Haven't seen him in years, but real good guy. But I remember his English was okay, but he had a translator that was translating for me when he was talking to me. And he started talking about the fast running technique that they know about in Tibet. And what they would do is they would put a magical mantra, some type of sacred geometry stuff written on their feet. And it would activate the feet for them to travel very fast and to jump very high. I'm assuming there was much more to the practice than just drawing this magical glyph or what have you. I do believe there's probably, intuitively, I believe there's some breathing techniques and probably some movement exercises that go with it, and probably some ethogens that go with it too. But yeah, yeah. So yeah, Kilindi would tell us about how hunters would use these medicines to even hunt better. All right. Now, and you could see this even when we deal with the bee tweet, right? For instance, in Gabon, you could look at some of the earliest people of the Bushman. You know what I mean? The Bushman or Pygmy people would daggone was eating Iboga way back then, way back when. You know, the root there. You know, so so when they took the combo, they were able to run faster for longer, eat less, sleep less for periods of time, and they believed they were invisible to the animals they were hunting because combo takes away the quote unquote human smell. Okay? Now, when you're putting combo on your body, you're putting it on your skin, it becomes part of your auric field. It becomes part of that frog now becomes a part of your essence. Now you have a totem frog that's over you. You know what I mean? So the natives really believed that when they would go into the jungle, that the animals would not be able to even pick up on their scent. And that's deep because we could think of like a greyhound or whatever type of dog or whatever, or animal that has a scent that's 100 times stronger than the human nose. So that's deep for them not to be able to have an animal not to be able to smell some of these hunters in the jungle there, you know, and it was because of the combo, which was bringing a different energy frequency into their auric field, you know. It says that you may hear combo referred as hunting magic. Secondly, it's been used as a medicine. For traditionally in the jungle, this jungle vaccination would be used for malaria, for those who are catching a fever, infections, snake bites, all kinds of things. And last but least, the third thing that combo would usually be used for would be for what they call quote unquote panema. Panema would what we would call bad juju. Or yes.
I need this plug and a charger.
That doesn't work for the tablet over there. Sorry.
And because the tablet died.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't work because y'all broke the bottom of it. I'm sorry. Yeah, but we could do, after I get off of this, we're going to paint and do some other things, okay?
Daddy, all of the TVs are broke.
Yeah, I know. But let me continue. I'm almost done with this tonight. So, the last thing when we deal with is panema, you know. Panema would be considered like bad juju or negative energy around you, or surrounding an individual's work field or what have you. So they would use combo as a way to break hexes and curses, because if you study a lot on shamanism, or even study a lot on medicine men and women, the history of anthropology and stuff, you'll see that there'd be a lot of set banging. There'd be a lot of like, banging on each other, you know, throwing what the shamans call throwing darts, throwing poisonous darts, you know what I mean? And I remember reading about one woman, very lovely lady, very compassionate healer, but she wasn't one of those healers that would, you know, people would always throw darts at her and she would know how to deal with it. But she wasn't one of those people that would go and take heads, you know what I mean? But, you know, I think it's a time and a place for everything, you know, but these things happen, you know, so they break hexes, you know. They say this frog is about 20 to 30 meters, and that it hangs out at the rainforest waterways. Can you stop that for 1 second? Because I want to make sure they could hear that. Thank you. Real light if you're gonna do it, okay? All right. Traditionally, they are hunted by they are harvested. They're not hunted. No one hurts the frog. The way they collect them is very passive, and they carefully pick them up, and they don't run because they don't have predators. You know what I mean? You have to see again, when even you're bringing this frog medicine into your body, into your being, You have to understand now you have a new auric type of field. You have a new energy around you because you put in something inside your body that's fearless. You know what I mean? The jungle monkey, green jungle monkey frog is a fearless frog. It has no predators. You know what I mean? It doesn't it doesn't have to have fear. Nothing beats with. No, it's not stupid enough to eat it because it knows it's poisonous. So it's like, I'm not going to eat that. You know what I mean? So it lives a very carefree life. So you're bringing that type of essence into you when you have that frog medicine with you. You have a very carefree type of feeling that comes over you. A lot of the depression, a lot of the, your thoughts get more organized and stuff. You know what I mean? So the only thing I know of, there's certain snakes that try to eat it, but they don't eat it. Could it be that these certain snakes and stuff have intelligence that they would lick the frogs, the poison or whatever, and be able to have a combo experience to clean the frogs or to clean the snake out? That's deep. You never know. You know what I mean? Some of these snakes that kind of put it in the mouth real quick and spit it out, they might have the intuitive knowing that, wow, I'm feeling, this snake would be like, I'm feeling a little sick. Let me put a little of that in me from the frog to be able to clean my system out. Nature it's amazing. It's very intelligent. So, they usually pick the frog up and they have the frog carefully tied by each leg with strings in an X type of faction. Usually they will tickle the frog on its toes or legs or what have you, and the secretion will come. The secretion is scraped off and then it's dried off on a small stick. When properly harvested, you see when they put the string on the frog, it leaves a dye mark, a white dye mark on its leg. So anybody that's in the jungle that's looking for harvesting some frogs, know not to take that frog because it's already been taken. And they allow that frog to renew its venom and all that after so many 2 or 3 months. All right, so that's how they do it. Now let's go into a little bit about the peptides. It says poisons and venoms are common in nature, and they serve as a chemical defense amongst many different predators. And amongst many amphibians, among their vertebrae is a notable range of substances that contain in their granular skin glands. These compounds include peptides, proteins, all in the secretion of the frog that they find. But the thing that within the proteins and the all in the steroids, everything that they find in this frog secretion, the thing that really helps us human beings is the peptides. What's interesting? They say here that alkaloids are a group of natural occurring chemical compounds that contain basic neutron atoms, neutrogen atoms. With the exception of alkaloids, most of these compounds seem to be produced by the amphibians. The skin of the amphibians contains a structural classes of alkaloids previously unknown in nature. Some amphibian skins alkaloids are clearly from their diet, which consumes mainly of many small insects. The sources of the other alkaloids in the amphibian skin are unknown. That's why it's possible that when produced, hold on. So basically, what they're trying to say right here is this, and I heard this even with building with the elder Uncle Hank Rotting's son, and when he was building with Dr. Jerry and others for instance, with Bufo toad medicine. There's a lot of people that will take the Bufo toad or the Kambo frog and might get it off the line or whatever, or might catch it and have it as a pet and be able to use their friend at home for its medicine. I believe the intention is well, and I think it's a honorable thing to be able to say, hey, I'm gonna have my medicine right here when I need it fresh. But what they're trying to say in this right here with the diet of this Kambo frog, there's certain things that we as human might see them eating, certain insects and things, and then there's certain things that they are unknown that they eat. So that's why even with the Bufo, they even Dr. Jerry and different others would discourage from people taking these amphibians home, because you cannot always reduplicate their entire diet or reduplicate their nesting period or whatever, the amount of light. Some people might have it down to a science, and if that is the case, that is good. I congratulate y'all. But from the information, what they're saying here, some of the alkaloids that are produced, some of it is unknown in their diet. And when you take it out of its captivity, in many cases, the Kambo frog stops producing the secretion because it's out of its natural captivity. And in many cases, you might have some people out there that own a Kambo frog that might have a Bufo toad, and that might not be the case for them. Who knows? But I'm just showing what I'm sharing, what I got from some of my research with my notes here. And okay. Again, in modern world, there's a multitude of research projects within universities, research establishments, and pharmaceutical companies that identify the chemical composition of Kambo and to look at possible medical uses of those components. Scientists have shown that the Kambo secretion contains a unique and highly complex cocktail of bioactive peptides. Several of these peptides have already been identified and synthesized and are available to purchase online, and currently there are over 70 patented logged, mainly in the US. That's deep. So they already synthesized, again, over 70 patented medicines from this Kambo frog. Okay, let's go in more about the peptides. Peptides are compounds that are formed by linking one or two more amino acids in a chain, connected by special bonds. When the chain becomes too large and bends around it, it becomes a protein. So it's a thin line to divide between what is really a peptide and a protein. It becomes somewhat fluid. Peptides are much more complex because they are proteins are more complex because they have are much longer, and most proteins are folded into complex structures of their amino acids. When peptides, on the other hand, their chains don't reach that long. It says here, more than 50 when there's more than 50 amino acids involved, that's when it becomes a protein. So anything less than 50 amino acids, you're really dealing with what you call a peptide. Okay, so peptides can perform a while into some acupuncture points that you can even use with the Kambo, especially for addiction. There's a point on the ear right about here that if you put the Kambo frog medicine, it deals directly with addiction and also homeostasis, bringing the body into complete balance. But let me continue with the peptides real quick. I was talking about the difference between a peptide and a protein, and how when you have less than 50 amino acids, then you're dealing with a peptide, and how each peptide serves a different function. And that's why you have certain peptides that are in the frog that deal with addiction. For instance, you have different peptides that deal with pain. So if you, for instance, you're going into the doctor and somebody has a major operation that they're going through, and they're saying, well, give this person more morphine because they're dealing with this pain, there's certain things in peptides, certain peptides within the frog medicine that that deals directly with pain. Okay, and I'll tell you that peptide right now. Okay, so I said again, it has a different range of functions of these peptides on the body. Hormones, for example, are a type of peptides that carry signals between the glands and the cells to control the body function, such as sleep, blood sugar regulation, and they also have a function with the stomach and the intestines and liver. So again, in peptides, if you have people that have insomnia, can't sleep, someone who has their hormones are out of whack, um, you know, it's not advised that women take Kambo during their period, but after their period, I believe it's like 4 days after their period, um, the combo can regulate the hormone production. You know, a lot of women that deal with a lot of got cut off on me. If it gets cut off again, I'm just and just say peace to everyone and peace to Baba Kilindi. His legacy continue to work. You know, this is what Baba was even saying to me before the last times I spoke to him before he was passing. He mentioned continue to work, you know, for us to continue to work. So all my researchers, all my psychonauts, all my healers, all my people out there doing this work, let's continue this legacy. Let's make Baba Kilindi proud. Let's make Freedom Mutua proud. All these Lila Africa, all these elders that transitioned recently. But let me continue real quick with this peptides, and hopefully this isn't cut off on me again. And if it does, well, you enjoy your day, evening, or whatever time you're watching this. All right. I was talking about how peptides have an effect on the hormones. And also we have something called neuropeptides that deals directly with the brain. So these special peptides produced in the brain help the neurons communicate with each other. Again, you're having that neuron connection. You know what I mean? Same thing that you see with psilocybin mushrooms and other medicines. They are found in the central nervous system, and they influence activities in the brain and body, such as food intake, learning, and memory. And with what I've noticed with Kambo as well is that it helps you learn quicker. It actually helps you gain information and retain information much clearer. People that take Kambo have reported back to me and have feedback to say that I feel more clearer. Everything, my consciousness, everything seems much clearer. I had one guy that used to come to me take an exam because he was in college. So it definitely helps, again, connect the neurons. The memory. I'm attempting, okay, to finish it. So we was talking about, again, the neuropeptides, and I would like to just talk about, again, that peptide that deals with pain, that deals with a natural form of morphine. It's endogenous morphine, or endorphins are another type of neuropeptide. They act as natural painkillers by blocking substance P in the central nervous system. Substance P is also a neuropeptide that transmits pain-related information from the nervous system to the central, from the peripheral nervous system to the central nervous system. A person's mood, energy level, pain, pleasure, weight, cognitive reasoning, ability to form memory, system regulation are tied to neuropeptides. Yeah. The last thing I was gonna say, but because it's cutting off, this is important to share because it keeps cutting off, is that the neuropeptides deal with immune regulation, keeping your immune system on point. And again, the last thing I want to say here is that there's a direct peptide that deals with anti-microbe or fungus, bacteria, yeast. You know what I mean? So when we deal with that particular peptide, it's called the dermaceptin peptide, or dermaceptin. You know what I mean? DERMASEPTIN. This particular peptide is very potent, and this one particular peptide deals with all types of different viruses, and fungi and bacteria. And this particular peptide is responsible for infections, including AIDS and autoimmune suppressant agents. So yeah, this is very, and also this one dermaceptin peptide deals with cancer, because it has a connection with the 33 amino acid peptide called adenodrigulin that interacts with the receptors of the cells and actually helps kill cancer cells. So there it is, you know what I mean? And that's why I really wanted to make this video, just to show you from a scientific point how this frog medicine can definitely be useful during these coronavirus epidemic, right? This thing going around. You can use the frog medicine as a way to deal with bacteria, to boost the immune system, to deal with certain various viruses because of particular peptides that are in this frog. And also what's important about the frog medicine does when it goes into your body, it's able to open the cells without it being recognized as a foreign invader. So the cells easily just open and let it go in and scrape out all the junk and all. Yeah, this joint keeps going off. So again, I want to say peace and thank you for watching. Appreciate it. I want to say La ilaha illallahu, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And I want to say Om Ase, Om Ase, Om Ase. Thank y'all for watching, and let's keep doing the work. Peace. See how you turn this off.